that at the center of our economy, it's really more than a structure, but a living and breathing hustle that everyday Kenyans are involved in. That's what makes actually.
Thank you. Kide, briefly.
Said he's telling you for free.
Yeah.
I will tell you for a fact that 67 years since independence, one thing that is clear is that a country of 125 super billionaires and 42.6 million beggars. I think far much worse than what JM described. As we sit here today marking the 67th Jamhuri, we must therefore ask ourselves very hard questions. One of them being these fancy cars we are seeing and this display of opulence in this national holiday. What does it serve? Have we been able to plug a connection between where we are and where we are coming from? During the first Jamhuri Day, Mzee Kenyatta said that ignorance, poverty, and disease were the issues. The late former Prime Minister used to add the fourth one called corruption. I have attempted to speak to it in my small voice. I hope the President would use this megaphone to engage, start a proper war against corruption. And that brings me into saying that today, as we are here, yesterday the young people launched the Youth Manifesto. One thing, and I must send the compliments to the government, because while previously they have engaged us with suspicion, for the first time, we saw representatives of the major political competition management institutions coming to sit with us. The National Police has always snapped our invites. For the first time, Assistant Inspector General of Police came and joined us during the launch of the manifesto. ORPP has always been willing to engage. IEBC, because these institutions are now willing to engage. As young people, we shall continue to mobilize local and global attention to the aspirations of young people, to their priorities, trying to recenter the politics of this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Kedi and Daktari. The President has just left State House, Nairobi, headed for the Nyayo National Stadium. His motorcade now along State House Road, shortly joining processional before joining Kenyatta Avenue and then to Huru Highway, which will take him straight to the Nyayo National Stadium. You're watching the live pictures coming to you from State House, and the President just left the seat of power, heading for the Nyayo National Stadium to lead the country in this year's Jamhuri Day celebrations themed around tourism, an event that culminated yesterday at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where the head of state also participated in some of the engagements that featured young voices who had engaged him on issues of governance. And the live pictures and the arrowhead form of the outriders, his vehicle sandwiched being the various of the security granted to state, being a state property, heading to lead the celebrations from the Nyayo National Stadium, where Kenyans are waiting to hear from him. Among the issues I have raised include an instant address to the cost of living, as well as diversity appreciation of the country's mosaic of ethnic makeup and the differences in, of course, languages, which they said is not important to them other than the value of the shilling in their pocket and generally the state of the economy. The head of state has been constant with the call to take Kenya to the next level and saying that the Singapore model is what the Kenyans embark on. And this is despite the criticism on the part of the state for its close affinity to issues around, of course, incompetence and favoritism and nepotism, which is still very deep in the Kenyan state and its architecture, given Singapore and how it did progress under Lee Kuan Yew. And admiration, of course, some had appreciated, but also distant away from attaining status, given the Kenyan model and how politics largely led to the dilution of institutions that have otherwise would have lifted Kenya to the heights of prosperity. The head of state has now, the motorcade of the president has taken a turn on Kenyatta Avenue. This is the section of the road still under construction, just opposite the All Saints Cathedral that is under construction. Now will be taking a turn at the Nyayo House roundabout before embarking on that short trip to the Nyayo National Stadium. At the stadium, several Kenyans are waiting for the head of state's arrival. His motorcade, of course, on its way to the stadium, and they're expecting a speech when he takes to the lectern that will also embody the aspirations that they have today, 62 years since 1964. And the announcements at the stadium, and you can see the pictures on your screens, the three services of the Defense Forces, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army are waiting for the President's arrival. Of course, a guard of honor that they have mounted, and an inspection that he will do as part of a tradition that has been in the Kenyan state and celebrations, especially the Jamhuri Day celebration. Of course, the program today entails the topping of the colors. The specificity will be provided here. And now the presidential motorcade is on Uhuru Highway, which will be then in 5 to 6 minutes should be at the Nyayo National Stadium before boarding the presidential car that will take him for a lap of honor and receiving salutations from the public and also greeting them before disembarking for the national anthem, and then thereafter the inspection of the guard of honor by the head of state before taking his position at the dais to join the deputy president, the prime cabinet secretary, the cabinet, and the leadership of the country. Also the arrival of the first lady of the Republic of Kenya. You can see a vehicle now making a stop. And here's the Ghanaian president who is arriving, John Dramani Mahama. He is the chief guest of honor for this year's celebration, the Ghanaian, in the company of the deputy president, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki, Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja, and Health CS Adan Duale, who had received him last evening when he touched down at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Of course, Accra and Nairobi do share some traits of democracy, given how they have also transitioned from one election to the other, and among the few countries in Africa that are tipped to be good models of democracy alongside Kenya. Of course, the presidential motorcade is still on the highway as the Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama makes his way to the city as the Chief of the Defense Forces, General Charles Kahariri, who is also waiting for the President's arrival. And he's outside the National Stadium, is among the board with the President, the presidential car for the lap of honor at the National Stadium, and also when he disembarks and accompany President still during the inspection of the Defense Forces. And in their company, as always is the military tradition, is the aide-de-camp who is from the Kenya Army and who is with the President in the motorcade as the Chief of the Defense Forces. General Charles Kahariri waits for the arrival of this motorcade that shortly will be at the Nyayo National Stadium. Here's General Charles Kahariri at the Nyayo National Stadium. Of course, a member of the Navy of the Kenya Defense Forces. He rose to the position following the sudden demise of General Ogola in a helicopter crash in 2024 in April, the unfortunate death which saw him assume the position of the Chief of Defense Forces. That happens on rotational basis. Before General Ogola was General Kiboshi, who was succeeded by General Ogola before his death, and thereafter now General Charles Kahariri. The presidential motorcade is at the Nyayo National Stadium now, and we will be getting you the live pictures when the President will board the presidential ceremonial car meant for the lap of honor that has been the tradition in Kenya's history. Waiting for the head of state is the Chief of the Defense Forces. The presidential motorcade now from State House is at the Nyayo National Stadium. On a big day when Kenyans are pregnant with the expectations of an address that will be fitting to address the economic issues that they have raised when they had spoken to my colleagues Seth Olale and Emmanuel To and our team. The Maroon Commandos also standing by one more time again, as they always do, the patriotic song that they will be. Here's the AD camp, and the president is now at the Nyayo National Stadium. Salutation from the Chief of the Defense Forces, General Kahariri. Then the Mercedes-Benz will be taking the First Lady to the dais, and the president now ready for his lap of honor. As we had stated earlier in our breakdown, then it is the security around him that will be forming the arrowhead formation, even at the Nyayo National Stadium, engaging the CF and the AD camp also on his security, standing by for the lap of honor. And this brief waiting moment is because the First Lady must make her way to the stadium. Once then she disembarks from the Mercedes-Benz, then the lap of honor will begin for the head of state.
Tunampokea mama wa taifa Bi Rachel Ruto. Wapi makofi ya mama wa taifa, Her Excellency Rachel Ruto. Nikirudia kwamba sasa tunamkaribisha mama wa taifa Bi Rachel Ruto. Tumpigie makofi na tumkaribishe kwa shangwe wa Kenya. Welcome, Your Excellency, the First Lady of this great nation, Her Excellency Rachel Ruto. Karibu. Ukiongozwa na bendi yetu ya Maroon Commandos. Aya. Wapi makofi ya Daktari William Ruto? Kenya, Kenya. Karibu. Kenya, Kenya. Mheshimiwa Rais. Kenya nchi yetu. Utuongoze. Kenya, Kenya. Kwa sherehe ya Jamhuri. Kenya, moja. Kenya nchi yetu. Karibu. Mheshimiwa Rais. Makala ya 62. Peperusha bendera wananchi. Karibu. Mheshimiwa Rais, utuongoze kwa sherehe ya leo. Wapi shangwe na vigelegele wananchi? Moja. Mbili. Karibu. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa sherehe ya Jamhuri. Karibu. Wapi shangwe ya kina mama? Wapi ngemi? Peperusha bendera kwa Mheshimiwa Rais. Moja. Karibu. Karibu. Mheshimiwa Rais, utuongoze kwa sherehe ya leo. Karibu. Wanafunzi, peperusha bendera. Hongera kwa kazi nzuri. Nyayo Stadium, sherehe ya Jamhuri. Wapi makofi wanafunzi?
Kenya, Kenya, Kenya taifa letu.
Karibu.
Kenya,
Mheshimiwa Rais, utuongoze kwa sherehe ya leo. Kauli mbiu, utalii, wanyama pori na miundo msingi. Moja, mbili, karibu. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa sherehe ya leo. Wapi shangwe na vigelegele wananchi? Karibu. Moja, mbili, karibu. Mheshimiwa Rais, utuongoze sherehe ya Jamhuri. Wapi wakoloni waone haya na aibu? Karibu. 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 Kauli mbiu, utalii, wanyama pori na maendeleo. Wapi shangwe na vigelegele wananchi watukufu? Peperusha bendera jumuiya nzima. Karibu. Pili, peperusha bendera walio kwenye jukwaa mkono wa kulia. Karibisha rais kwa shangwe na vigelegele. Moja, nambari 1. Wapi makofi? Shangwe na vigelegele. Mheshimiwa Rais, karibu. Moja, mbili,